Hello, welcome to the second video of Korra month. I'm going to be talking about the book 4 of Korra, the final season, and everything I liked and didn't like about it. I loved this season. Yeah, there was stuff I didn't like. This put that out there, but other than that, I loved this season. It was everything I wanted from a final season of a show. I really thought that they hit it out of the park with the villain. Coming from book 3, I didn't know what to expect. Um, because, I thought the Red Lotus was such a strong villain. I was like, I don't know how they're going to top that. And they did. Because Kuvira was not a typical, twirling of the mustache villain. She was very believable, and she came at a very sympathetic spot as well, I feel like. They didn't really address it at all in a few episodes. They kind of hinted at it in episode 5 and 6, but until the end is really when they just kind of drove that part home with that character. So I really like Kuvira's character, and part of it, I said to people, it might have been swayed by interviews and all that kind of stuff, because Mike and Bryan described Kuvira as a version of Korra, so I kind of knew that she was gonna be a mirror character of Korra. And really, when I saw the first episode of her taking out those bandits and just how she talked and all that, I did feel like that she was Korra, because she had the same kind of brat of like intensity. And that scene when she was taking all those bandits was just like how Korra took out the triads, I think, in book 1. The intensity and ferocity that Kuvira displayed, I think, was so much like Korra that it spoke on many levels. And I think that's what a lot of people, um, either noticed or they didn't notice. But I like that about. I love when villains mirror the hero. I always love that. I think that leads to very interesting storytelling. And a lot of people keep comparing her to Ozai, and I do see the comparison. I do, but I kind of disagree, because Ozai didn't really have a motive or a ideal. He was just kind of doing stuff because his family was doing it. He was just kind of finishing this legacy that was passed down to him by his family. So, they don't really say if he believes his family's ideal or not, other than he just wants that power. Kuvira, on the other hand, isn't doing this for power. It's a perk, sure, but like she has been doing this. In the finale, it kind of drives the point home that she's been doing this out of the love of her nation. She wasn't doing this because she wanted the power, or anything. It's just she was like, what, I love this nation, and and I know how it feels to be abandoned and all that stuff. Again, that finale with Kuvira and Korra having that one-on-one was one of the most well done scenes in any show I've seen. And as far as animated shows go, um, just having both these characters open up to each other, and just seeing Kuvira's backstory really made her a very sad and pitiful character. I didn't feel this way until I saw MGS4's ending and MGS Peace Walker's ending. Those two had really good endings to those characters, but seeing Kuvira just kind of say that, that she said that, oh, well, when Korra said, like, I know it must have been hard being an orphan, and she said, oh, you don't even know, you don't talk to me like you understand, because, the Avatar is adored by millions. My parents, casted me aside and all that stuff. And right then and there, that enough kind of speaks volumes of how Kuvira looks on, views Korra, is that, she feels like that she's been rejected, and, she doesn't have this kind of admiration that Korra has, despite, Korra having to deal with, like, kind of like 3 seasons of people, um, crapping on her. But, at the end, Kuvira really, kind of felt envious about that, and I really like that as a character. Every time I think about that scene, I just kind of get really, really depressed about that, because uh, it really did explore that character very well and kind of made that character more wholesome, and it was so well done. I loved it. And, I said that, it wasn't the fact that, her mech was destroyed, or that, Korra beat her, physically. it ended because there was an understanding and a discussion between Korra and Kuvira, and they both kind of came to an understanding, and they both saw each other within each other. Like that to me speaks volumes on both those characters, that they were able to kind of go out of this without, ultimately humiliating the other. I mean, you know, Kuvira did humiliate Korra in episode 6, but like, we didn't see Korra like, humiliate her in at all in the finale to beat her. So I really like that. That scene, I could talk for an hour about that scene. It was so good. Um, and I kind of like the foreshadowing. Not the foreshadowing, but I like the idea in episode 2 in Korra Alone, when Katara said, "You know what you will find in this is, we don't know where you're going to find, if you're going to look for peace, we don't know where you're going to find, but what it is going to be something interesting," and it did turn to something interesting. And I also like the ending. I know the Kurosami thing is very controversial, but this is all I gotta say. It was a very ambiguous ending. It did not confirm or deny anything. It did not say that she's with Asami or with Mako or anything. A lot of people are, there's a lot of infighting with the crowds, and a lot of Kurosami people are saying, "Oh, it's official, it's confirmed, it is legit, it is story," and I disagree. I mean, and I like Kurosami. I personally see the potential in that in that pairing, but the finale didn't really give off that definitive closure. It was left ambiguous because it was meant for the viewer to kind of make their own interpretation and opinion of that scene. It wasn't supposed to be, it is this, and it wasn't supposed to paint a solid picture. Like, it wasn't supposed to be blatant. I mean, like, book one ended with a very kind of solid ending that was like, yes, this is the end, and that's it. Same with like Last Airbender was that it ended on such a closure, and everything was tight together and all that, except for Zuko's mom. But with this, it was left ambiguous, because it wasn't something that needed to be answered. It wasn't something that, oh, we really need to know who's she with. It was just, she could be single still. I mean, this could just be a friendship thing. This could be a lover thing. But there's really no definitive right or wrong answer with that. So that's really what I liked about the ending, as far as Kurosami is concerned. Um, what I didn't like about the season was Remembrances and The Calling. I thought those two episodes were kind of weak. I mean, obviously Remembrances is the worst by default, but at least with the Remembrances, the one thing I do stick with that is that it was a good character piece. Except for Mako. Mako's part was so robotic, and it just didn't feel natural. But with Korra's part, that was a little clumsy in the acting, but um, same with the dialogue, but it at least kind of highlighted her growth and development within the series. So I kind of like that in her section, and obviously Varix was just really funny. So I mean, it was good as their own character pieces. I would not put it on the same level as the clip show of Samurai Champloo or the Last Airbender, but this there was a charm and there was a modesty to it, but yeah, it's not the best episode, obviously. Uh, and then we got, the other thing I really liked was the last two episodes, and I kind of said this somewhere else, but um, in book three, the last two episodes, they did kind of tie into each other, but they weren't as connected as these two episodes in book four, because it was the same fight in one episode into the other, and it was. Oh, you could also argue that it was technically a three-parter as well with Kuvira's Gambit, but uh, I really liked that because it kind of made that scale more intense and huge. It wasn't a weakened, damp thing. It was a really, it added to the scale and velocity of the scene, and I really liked that. And then one last thing, I did like Korra's character by the end, and that last bit of dialogue between her and obviously I did love the dialogue between her and Kuvira, obviously, but I also like the one between her and Tenzin. Uh, that to me, I thought was a really good way to end it, where she has this optimism of she wants to learn more, and she wants to get better, and she wants to do a lot of stuff and try new things. And I really like that. I really like that it ended on that note with them, and how they kind of left things. I really like that. That was really good kind of closure there. And I talked about Korra, so I'm not gonna talk about that again. About that again. But I the only thing I will say about that is I really can't wait to see the fan fictions of their journey into the spirit world. I kind of can't wait, and that kind of I don't really do a lot of fanfics myself, but that kind of influenced me to do some as well. Maybe in the future I'll do something, but who knows? That's it for this video. I would give if I were to rate book four, I would give it a perfect score of a 10 out of 10. Despite the flaws, I you know I know of the season. It was perfect because it had a great villain. The development was really on key. It hit every note that it needed to hit. It was a really good season. It felt like a wild ride from beginning to end, and I loved that season. And that was great. That was a great send off to the show and to the fans. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next video in Korra month.